Hello and welcome to the MyHeritage webinar series. I'm Jeff Rasmussen, your host, broadcasting to you live from webinar headquarters in Middleton, Idaho. Today we have Daniel Horowitz with us, who is live in Or Yehuda, Israel, for his class, Get the Most from the MyHeritage Search Engine for Historical Records. So thanks to Daniel and thanks to the more than 1,800 of you from 28 countries around the world for registering for today's live webinar. And wherever and whenever you are, glad to have you with us. And now I'd like to introduce our speaker. Daniel Horowitz, expert genealogist at MyHeritage, provides key contributions in the product development, customer support, and public affairs areas. He holds board-level positions at the Israel Genealogy Research Association and the International Association of Jewish Genealogical Societies, among others. Daniel was the teacher and study guide editor for 15 years of the family history project Searching for My Roots in Venezuela. Please put together your virtual hands and let's give Daniel Horowitz a nice warm webinar welcome. Daniel, how are you, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I'm great. Very happy to be here one more time with you and with all the people that are hearing us live.
Always glad to have you here with us, Daniel. And your screen looks great, and so the time's all yours. Thanks again.
Excellent. Thank you. And yes, today my goal is to teach everybody and to show how to get the most of MyHeritage search engine. But for those of you who are new to MyHeritage, let me start with the very basic. MyHeritage started as a family tree company to build family trees both on the website and on the software. And it was only a couple of years after that, when we acquired World Vital Records, that we entered the area of historical records. Since then, of course, we have put together a wonderful technology to match both the trees among them and the trees with the records to bring you the right paperwork, paper trail for your family tree. And very lately, the DNA, the MyHeritage DNA, which is supporting a lot of all the discoveries that you are doing and testing and actually breaking your brick walls with this helpful tool. But let's concentrate today on the record, and I'm extremely happy to present you this number, 8.99 billion records. This means that very soon we're going to need a new design and change that number to 9 billion records that we hold in our search engine and disposition to all of you. This is how the search page looks. And you can get to here by going to the URL myheritage.com/research, or simply from the research menu on the upper right corner of the screen, as you can see. And I'm actually not going to start with the actual search because MyHeritage has one component that I think is very useful for people, especially when they want to focus their research in a particular area, in a particular region. What I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down on the same window, and I'm going to find a world map. In this world map, I can choose any continent. If I would choose United States, then I will see the different states that compose the USA. If I choose Europe, for example, I will see a list of different countries. And what's going to happen when I select a specific country is that the search is going to be performed on that specific country. So you will be focusing your research on that particular area. Now, you need to take in account always when we're talking about countries' history and genealogy, that border changes. And my personal experience with my family coming from northern Romania sometimes was actually Hungary, sometimes was actually Ukraine. My tip for you here is that you should try all those countries that once were part of the territory with the actual place that your event happened, in order to be able to cover all the bases. So once I already told you about this feature, let me go back up, and I want to emphasize the right side of the screen, where you have different categories that MyHeritage has divided the records. And again, the idea, and whenever I am doing research and I am suggesting, the first step should actually be a general search. You put the name, you put the last name, you put a piece of information in the search page, and then you hit search and see what comes up. But with the time, you want to be more specific. Maybe you want to search for census records, or you are interested in finding a birth certificate or some military records of a person. Well, MyHeritage has those categories ready for you. We have a few of them, all of them with different explanations, so you can know exactly what category and subcategory has the records that you are looking for. For example, if you're looking for a birth record, it will be on the category birth, marriage, and death, BMD. That's how we compose that section. And then if you go into that, you will see the different birth, marriage, or death records that MyHeritage has for you. Now, back to the main search page, and of course, this is more than self-explanatory, right? Every search page will have your first name, your last name, a year, and a place in order to make your search accurate. But again, I want to give you all the insights on how to take the best advantage of this. So I'm going to click on the advanced search right on the, again, upper right corner, as you can see here. And MyHeritage is going to display more detailed fields that you can use to search for your person. So each category, by the way, will have his own advanced page. Because if you, again, are looking for a death certificate, you may have different information or different fields if it's an immigration record or if it's a census page. So depending on the collection and depending on the category, the form is going to vary a little bit, and it's going to be specific to your search. Now, one of the capabilities that the advanced search has on MyHeritage is the ability to put different events on the life of a person in order to make sure that we found the right person for you, the right individual. If you know when the person was born, when he married, or where and when he lived, all these events are very useful for the queries, for the technology to find the right individual. You can add multiple events for the individual that you are looking for, and that will just make your search more accurate. Another option that MyHeritage gives you is to put relatives of this individual. And by using this, MyHeritage is probably the only search engine that will allow you to search for a person which you actually don't know anything about it. What I'm saying is that I can put the mother or the sibling of a specific individual that I don't know his name. I may know his last name, but not his first name or when he was born. Or even if I use the spouse of somebody that I know, this information also is going to be used in order to search and find your individual, even if you don't know anything about the person. And you can add as many relatives as you want. Of course, that if you combine that with the events and with other pieces of information, chances are you're going to get a better result. Now, of course, we all know that name changes and spelling variations are all around. And that is why in genealogy we use sound like when we are searching. And there are a few technologies, different ways of using those soundex types. And you don't need to know all of them or how they work, but you need to know that you can choose different ones if you want to refine or research with a specific last name and the different options that MyHeritage offers you. If the default, which is the Deutsch Mokotov Soundex together with the Metaphone 3, which we consider are the best combination in order to get you with the right last name. Now, what MyHeritage also does very uniquely is to apply the same technology to first names, not only to last names. So in that case, if you're looking for a John, we will take in account, and with the H or without the H, different spellings, the initial. If you want to find a record where you don't have a John, but you have only the J, or you find Joshua as different alternative for that name, you can pick and choose how wide or how restrict is your search with different spelling and synonyms. And I'm going to go back to this point in a few more slides when we talk about our dictionaries and languages capabilities. Now, regarding dates, not always we have the exact date. So MyHeritage allows you to do partial dates or even date ranges. If you know more or less when the event happened, you can select 2, 5, or 10 years plus minus, and that will give you a more wide scope for the results. So you can then go in and evaluate the different options that MyHeritage is giving you as the person that should be your individual. Finally, we have free text. Because you may have some keywords, you know that this guy was a president or appeared in the New York Times, or anything in particular that you would like to add as a keyword, you can use that space over there, and MyHeritage will take that in consideration when we do the search and when we present you with the results. Now, talking about results, and this works pretty much like any other search engine or Google. The top ones are the ones we consider the best ones, the lower one, or as you go down, you drill down the results, probably they are less relevant. We put some stars. We use between 5 and 1 star to show the relevance of the record that we found for you according to your search. And of course, like we all do with Google, if your result is not in the first 2-3 pages, you should go back and refine the search and try to use other parameters in order to improve the results that you are receiving. Now, this is how a result page would look in MyHeritage. You can see the stars right over there. You can see on the left side of the screen, I just did a search for a name in all the categories. So you see that we have more than 10,000 in the collection of census and voters list, another 10,000 in family trees, but also photos, militaries, different collections right here. And on the bottom part of this panel, you have like the first name, last name, and birth year, birthplace, father and mother name. The advantage of that is because we found a lot of people with different spelling variations, if right now you would like to pinpoint better your result, you don't need to go back and change the parameter. You simply need to click on any of those names or any of those sections, and you will be able to see how many results we got with the different parameters. Then, of course, just by clicking on the name of the person or the resource, you will be able to go inside the record. Before I go that, let me point you out to pieces of information that MyHeritage have extracted right here. So you don't really need to go into each of those records. You can see by reading these pieces if this is the right person that you're looking for. So let's go into this Frank Burkett 1910 US Federal Census. As you can see here, MyHeritage has a transcription of most of the pieces of information that appears on the record. You see his birth, his residence, how old he was, ethnicity, married status, wife, children, and also some details about the census page where he appears itself. If you scroll down a little bit, you will be able to see the actual image. And this has only one goal. Like we genealogists, we don't trust anybody, right? No matter what they said, we want to see the record. Unfortunately, not all the collections have images, not always we can see the record, but when we can, we want to see it, we want to read it with our own eyes. So here you will be able to see the record full screen. You will be able also to go to the page before or after, because depending on the position of your individual on the record, you may find more information on the next page or on the previous page, especially if we're talking about a census record. Families used to stick together and live together. So in the same building or in the same block, you may have other relatives that you want to check. Then, of course, you can download this this image to your computer. You can see more individuals listed on that page. In this case, his wife, his son, and 2 daughters, and the ages. By clicking on those names, you will be able to navigate to their specific record, even if it's the same page, but information will be relevant to those individuals right there. And probably the most amazing thing is that whenever you search and you find for a record of a person in your family tree that you're looking for, MyHeritage is going to give you the option to save that record. Just by pressing that button, MyHeritage is going to evaluate and read the names that you have in your family tree. It's going to suggest you the person that you may want to save this record to in your tree. And if this is not the person, well, you can simply select another one or create a new individual based on this record and on this, family. Now, once you decided or not to save this record into the family tree, things are not done. MyHeritage goes one step beyond that, and if you keep scrolling down on that record page, you're going to see what we call the Record Detective. Record Detective is a technology that will take the information from this record that you already evaluated, that you already think or are for sure that this is your family member. And we're going to present you with more records that belongs not only to that individual in particular, but maybe also to other relative mentioned in this record. Remember, in this case, it's a census, but even if it's a tombstone, sometimes you have other relative mentioned over there. So MyHeritage went back into the search engine, found all the records relevant to this family, and brought them to you right here. Of course, that you can hover the mouse over any of the records and see a description and see what's over there. And also, MyHeritage will bring you matches with those individuals into family trees. So not only the records here, but also other family trees where you can see, as you can see, more information about the individuals. Maybe you are missing an image that the other family tree has. So this will actually work for you as a jump start to look for more records that will find you more information and more record detective and more records. And basically, this is the reason why we all not go to sleep before 4 o'clock in the morning. So now you know. Now, what if you find a mistake in one of the records? And yes, this happens because records could be either OCR, which is a technology called optical character recognition done by computers, or even if people are actually transcribing the names from the records, mistakes can be done, typos can happen. Well, MyHeritage also took that into consideration, and lately we released a way for you to fix those mistakes in the records. And this is actually done by suggesting, not replacing, but suggesting different variations and different spellings for the records that you are looking at. This is not automatically. It's indexed once a week, so it will be soon available as part of the record. And people can contribute multiple name suggestions to a single record, and that will only make that record better to find and easier to find. So suggest an alternative is something that right now it's only worked on structured records. Structured records meaning that we know exactly which part of the record is the first name, the last name, the place, the dates. It's kind of fields, birth, marriage, and death, passenger list, military records. All of those, except for family tree collections, can be suggested of different spelling variations. Let me show you exactly how this works, and this is a real case that actually happened to me. I was looking for one of my relatives. MyHeritage found the tombstone, which actually I took the picture with the billion graves, and this is the original picture of the tombstone. I don't know if you can recognize and you can see the problem with the transcription. Let me zoom in a little bit. And probably some of you already spotted the mistake. In this case, somebody transcribed this as Heyman Possenberg, when if you see here on the zoom in of the tombstone, it's actually an R. It has a little leg right here which says Rosenberg. Okay, so there was a mistake. How can I fix it? Well, right here you have spot an error, suggest an alternative. This is the new function that MyHeritage had added. And a window will open, will allow me to suggest both either a first name or a last name. In this case, is a correction on the last name. It's not a P, it's an R. It's asking me also why I think this is a mistake, why I'm suggesting this correction. So I'm saying that this is a transcription error, and I can even write a note and say that he was actually my relative. I know his last name, unlikely Possenberg. Rosenberg is actually a very common Jewish last name, and the tombstone also says correctly Rosenberg. So I'm going to contribute this, and hopefully in about a week or so, whenever somebody else looks for this record, it's going to look like this. So as you can see, the name Possenberg is still there, But now this record has been indexed with my suggestion, with Rosenberg, with the R. And it also appears over there for other members to see. What was in the record, what was the alternative. Even my note appears right there, so people can actually go and read why I consider this the right spelling or a suggestion. And if somebody wants to even tell me something about him, or we are related in some way, they already have right there a way to contact me and say, hey, Daniel, you know, this is also my relative. If it's your relative, we must be related. Let's exchange information. Now, this is very easy to do when, in this case of a tombstone, for example, we're talking about a one person. What if we go back to that census page where we have multiple people mentioned over there, and the mistakes may or may not be in some of them? So, well, MyHeritage will also present you with the different names that we spot, and you will be able to pick and choose the name that you want to correct. You may want to suggest alternative for a few of them and not all of them. But again, you will see the suggestion right there. You will see the explanation, and you will see an option to contact the person that suggested this. So this is the power of the crowd out there in the benefit of all the genealogy people. Now, suggesting alternative is totally free, but only if you can access the records. And at this point, you should know MyHeritage has some free collections and other collections that are available only for subscribers, so paying subscribers that either have a data plan or a complete subscription. Fixing names is only the beginning in our plan. Very soon we are going to allow you to correct dates, places, occupations, ages, and other pieces of information that may have transcription errors or any kind of errors from the records. Now, remember that we were talking about the names and the different spelling variations. Well, MyHeritage is a very global company. We started here in Israel. We expand to Europe and to the United States. So we take transliteration and languages very seriously. As head of the translation department, I'm very proud to say that MyHeritage supports 42 languages. But not only supports, it understands the languages, especially with the name translation capabilities that we have in place on our search engine. And the benefit of this is that you don't need to know all these languages in order to get the records that you need in different languages. We cover with English and basically any Latin characters. We're able to translate the names into Hebrew, Russian, Ukrainian, or Greek. The way it works, before we go that, on top of that, we also have a group of dictionaries of how names should, may, or are typically spelled. In this case that I like to show always is about my cousin Alexander, but everybody knows him as Alex, and normally I will ask the audience if I should search for Alexander or for Alex. I'm pretty sure half of you will say Alexander, a group of you will say no, Alex, and some of you may say, well, you need to search for both. But you're all wrong. I'm very sorry to tell you, because there's many, many more ways of writing Alexander. What about different typos, different variations of names? What about Sasha, which is the Russian name for Alex? And at the bottom of the screen, you can already see the different dictionaries acting translating that name or those multiple names into the languages that we mentioned before. So as you can see, is actually a huge amount of words, of names that are being searched every time you hit the search button in order to bring you the right results. Now, in this example, I was looking for my cousin Alexander Abramov. I don't know Russian, I don't know Ukrainian, I do know English barely, I would say. But here, for example, I typed the name in English, Alexander Abramov, as you can see right here in the top of the image. And MyHeritage found it in a collection, a very nice collection from Ukraine Orthodox Church records. The only problem is that those records are actually written in Cyrillic. So I would guess that this says Alexander Abramov, but MyHeritage goes one step beyond that. MyHeritage not only translated my search in order to find this Ukrainian record, but also translated back the result. So I know that here it says Alexei Abramov, and if I go to the last one, it says Alexander Efremov, and clearly this is not the person that I'm looking for, but just, yes, the first one, which is Alexei Abramov. And this will happen automatically. You don't need to do anything special in order to get this translation in place. Now, another cool feature that I like from MyHeritage is Search Connect. This is a very special collection among the records when every search that people do becomes a searchable record. And of course, we're discarding the common names like Smith, Cohen, and Johnson. But if it's a less known, a less familiar last name that you're looking, you may not find any record about that person. And yes, we have almost 9 billion records, but not all the records of the world. No worries, we're working on that. Now, imagine that 1 year later, or at any other time, one relatives of you are looking for the same very uncommon last name. And unfortunately, we still don't have the record for that person, but we know that you search for that person. And we're able to tell this relative of you that you were looking for this very uncommon or unusual last name. And if you're both looking for this last name, you again may be related and you want to get in touch with each other. And this is a success story, hopefully, with Search Connect. This is an example of how it works. In this case, looking for the last name Mogilevsky. And again, somebody search for the same name in Hebrew and in English. MyHeritage applies the transliteration also for here. And if I see that this is the right name, I will be able to go in to learn a little bit more about this MyHeritage member. I would be able even to communicate with this member, see how big is his tree, and be able to ask him access to his tree and share information with him. Maybe I have the missing piece for his family tree or the other way around. So again, MyHeritage is looking for ways to help everybody finding their relative. Now, I would like to dedicate a couple more of minutes to talking about newspapers, because newspapers are actually the dream of every genealogist. Here, you not only get the facts, but you also get the history, you get the gossip, you get all the information that happened on your family. And newspapers are a little bit different than other type of records, because remember, we were talking about structured records. So newspapers are done with OCR, meaning that a machine, a computer, will try to read the different characters, will try to make sense of it, will put it in different phrases that we can search and we can actually find information. The challenge here is, by not being a structured collection, that you may have, like in the first example, just Daniel Horowitz, just as you search for it, but you may have some words in the middle. Like in the second example, you have Daniel David Horowitz, and it still may be the person that you're looking, or only D. Horowitz, or another case would be Horowitz Daniel, which is reverse order of what you are searching. So it's a little bit more challenging, and so far MyHeritage has been doing it greatly with a very large collection of newspapers that we are releasing almost every month, and I'm going to talk about this in a second. The very big advantage of this is that you can actually open the page, you can read the whole article, you can download the image to your computer and to your family search and save all the information into your tree automatically. Finally, I would like to bring your attention to one of the first options under the research menu, which is the collection catalog. In here, MyHeritage will list all or almost all the collections that we have available. Of course, that we're going to keep you updated when the collection is a new collection or when it was updated and how many records you have in that collection. You can actually use again the left panel in order to see how many collections we have in the different categories, and you can search for a specific collection itself just by typing on the upper right space. For example, if I'm looking into marriage record, these are going to be keywords that you can use both to search the title or the description of the record that you are looking for. Then, of course, you can refine your search by location. As you can see, there are 36 records, marriage records or marriage collections, better say, from USA and 29 from Latin America. Or I can refine them by years. If you are specifically looking for the 700s marriage records, we have 70 collections that touches that span of time. So you should be able to find the right collection that you need and search on that specific collection itself. Now, as I said before, MyHeritage is really constantly releasing new records. In this case, we released the U.S. yearbooks from 1890 to 1979 just last month on the time of Rootstech. And this is, again, a great collection because you can actually see the images of your relative, or some people have found themselves already there in the different universities or high schools. Newspapers we release Indiana, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and we have more about to be released. Sweden household examination books, German minority census, Palestine naturalization application. Last month, we also released the New York City Marriage License Index from 1908 to 1972. And here I would like to give a huge round of applause or support to my very good friend Brooke Shear Gans, Reclaim the Records. They are the ones that manage to get those images that we managed to index and make them available to you. Remember newspapers, they keep coming. Kentucky and West Virginia were the last ones, and these are the releases of March. So we should be very soon announcing April record collections coming up. Denmark church records, again, MyHeritage global company. We try, and so far people are saying we're doing a good job bringing records from Europe and from other countries. If you want to be up to date, all what you need to do is go to our blog. Over there, you will learn about new releases, about new features, and about everything that MyHeritage is working and doing for you. And if we're already on the blog, and if Jeff will allow me a little bit of self-publicity, there is a blog post over there about my world tour, as I like to call it, that already started with some lectures that I did in RootsTech, but I'm already, again, preparing my suitcase as, please God, on Sunday. I will be on a plane to do a lecture in Long Island and then participating at the NGS Conference. So if you have plans to be there, please stop by. The conference team is going to be there with a booth. I will be lecturing. Mike is going to be lecturing. Kiara is going to be there. So please pass by and say hello. This is all what I have for you today. Besides, thank you again for being here and for attending this live webinar, or if you are watching it afterwards in the recording. I will be more than happy, and I'm pretty sure that Jeff has already questions there piled for me. But if not, you can go to myheritage.com/help and find over there all the answers to your questions.
Well, very good, Daniel. Thank you very much. Lots of great comments here in the chat area. And we'll get, and lots of really good questions here too. So we'll get to those questions in just a minute. But I want to remind you of the upcoming live MyHeritage webinars. Next Wednesday will be a special appearance by the founder and CEO of MyHeritage, Gilad Jafet. This is on Wednesday, May the 2nd, so do join a little bit early for that one if you want to get a virtual seat. Daniel talked really briefly about the yearbooks. We've got an entire webinar coming up by Mike Mansfield. That's on Tuesday, May 8th. Then we'll learn about how to use the smart matches and record matches. And then digital gravestones. So these are the upcoming live webinars. And let me go to our first door prize slide here. We're going to give away two of these. So a one-year MyHeritage data subscription. And Daniel, can you talk to us a little bit about the data subscription? Does that include everything that you've shown us here today? What would we expect from this subscription?
Yes, the data subscription will give you access to all the records, everything I show you here. You will be able to see the images, you will be able to save the images, copy, paste, or adding the data to your family tree without any problem.
Okay, and so what I've done, everybody, is if you want to be considered for these door prizes, look for the virtual hand raising button that's in the upper left-hand corner of your webinar control panel, and go ahead and just give that a quick click, and that will indicate that you're hoping to win this. And here in just a minute, I'm going to I'll have the random door prize picker pick our winner here. And by the way, thank you all for Yeah, your comments, questions, and even your suggestions. Walter is wondering, where is the blog found? And Walter, I've put a link in the chat area that you can click on. It's at blog.myheritage.com. Okay, let's go and find our first winner here, and which is Coralie Fosspack. Coralie, congratulations. I've got a sister whose name is Carolee, so that's a really pretty name. Okay, so Coralie, congratulations. I've got your name down. Just watch for an email from us sometime very soon. Okay, and let's go to our next door prize winner. Same thing, a one-year MyHeritage data subscription plan. And keep those hands raised if this is something you're looking for. Let me go and find our winner. We have Treva Warren. Treva, thank you so much and congratulations. Just writing down your names here. Oh, and Coralie writes in all caps. Very excited. Oh my gosh, I never win. And lots of exclamation marks. So, Coralie, I think you're happy. All right. Okay, Daniel, let's go on to questions now. And by the way, if at any time, Daniel, you want me to switch over to your screen, if that helps to answer a question, feel free. I'm happy to do that.
Yes, and I'm already ready for that as well. But Jeff, maybe I can answer the first question and apologize to all the viewers today because I didn't prepare the handout on time. So no, unfortunately, there's no handout yet. I will do my homework and I'm going to send it to you, Jeff, so you can tell everybody and you can upload it later to the website.
Okay. All right. So everybody, that syllabus, the handout for today's webinar, I'll get that up there as soon as Daniel gets that to me. How about that? Well, I appreciate it, Daniel. Thanks for that. Okay, let's go to our next question then. A question from Alan about the actual records. He's wondering, does a company like MyHeritage own the rights to records, or do they rent those rights? He's just wondering, will some types of records possibly not be available again in the future, or will they always be there?
Okay, so yeah, that's an excellent question. We actually have all type of agreements. We have some records that we license, and we try to do those contracts as extensive as we can because we understand that you want to find the records every time and all the time, and always there are new people coming in. And that's why we're trying to lower now the amount of records that we're licensing. We're buying the records, or we're making sure that we have all the rights, perpetual rights for the records, or we generate the records ourselves. We have some equipments around the world where we have been scanning documents and transcribing the information, and those records belong to MyHeritage, or sometimes in partnership. For example, the Billion Graves is a wonderful example where we collaborate one with each other and we share the ownership of the record. So we have everything and anything regarding the rights of the records that we present.
Okay, thank you, Daniel, for a very good explanation. Let's go to, well, Coralie, our door prize winner. She had a question about the transcriptions. She's wondering how accurate are the transcriptions in general with the records at MyHeritage?
Well, you know, Gilad, it's very picky.
Yes.
And he likes to be a perfectionist.
Yep.
So the accuracy is quite high. I do know that some people, actually, if I remember correct, was Randy Sears, that he loves numbers and comparing things. He compared the 1940 census, which we transcribed from scratch with the other two different groups. And he found out that it was quite accurate, our translation over the other people's translation. So we do have a lot of QA. We do revise the transcription of our people often, and we try to bring the best that we can. But of course, there is always some typos and some things that escapes our power.
Oh, but that ability to add the corrections to the records, that helps to overcome that. That's a relatively new enhancement in the last few months. Is that right? Is that when did that arrive to us?
That was released, if I'm not mistaken, just last month of 2017, last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Catherine is wondering, are there some of the records that will only be found at MyHeritage? And how would we know if they are exclusive that way?
Well, definitely, yes. A lot of European collections are exclusive to MyHeritage. There is no actual way to know which collections and which records are exclusive. Definitely not the census, right? The census are everywhere and anywhere, but yeah, we do have exclusive collections, and you will need to experience for yourself when you do a search and you find the record that you are looking for.
Okay, Daniel, I did notice on your blog, up at blog.myheritage.com, when you announce the new record collections for each month, I think there's something there that says this, if it's only found at MyHeritage or not. So that's how I've been able to to learn about some of the exclusivity. So maybe look at those blog articles.
Yeah, probably that's like from the latest records that we're releasing now. Yeah. We're announcing and including them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. David's wondering, is MyHeritage actively gathering new records in Eastern Europe? Or could you tell us what are you guys working on?
Well, I'm not sure I can mention countries.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, definitely we're right now focused and actually working on 3 Eastern European countries, and of course Middle East as well, based in Israel. We have access to our neighbors or close countries from Europe. We already work with Greece records, with Corfu and Yvette Corporon's book, if you're aware of that. So yeah, definitely you will see more records from Europe coming right away.
Well, look forward to the announcements. Thank you. Now, a lot of the questions in here are asking, what about records from Spain, or what about records from Sweden? Daniel, what I want to know is there a way to find out specifically what countries are represented in the collection?
Yes, definitely. If you give me back the screen.
Okay, here you go.
I'm going to just retake it. That's the wrong one, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, 1 second. Technology. No, that's the wrong one. This is the right one.
Okay, good.
Let's see. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so yes, in the catalog, as I show you before, on the lower part of the left panel, you can refine by location. So that will be one way. The other way would be when you do a search, and I'm going to change now to the actual search engine. As you can see, I'm now live on my website.
Yeah.
I can go down and wait, I am in newspapers. So I will go back to all the collections. I can go to, again, Europe, and the question was Spain, for example. So I'm going to select Spain, and I'm going to see on the left side the different collections that we have for this country. So those are the two ways of finding out what collections we have for that specific country.
Yeah, good. And then, so that's on the country level. What about in the U.S.? A question from Evelyn. Can you narrow it down to state by state to see what records are available?
Yes, exactly. That's wait, Canada and U.S. So I understand you are in Idaho, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so
Hope
you see,
I'll never be here.
So I click in the great state of Idaho.
Okay, and there on the right-hand side, it's showing me the different collections. Yeah,
exactly.
Neat. Okay.
So this is the death, marriage, birthday certificate. Yes.
Well, good. All right. So for all those, and there's, I don't know, maybe 15 of them here in my chat area, that just answered all of your questions. Very good. and Monique writes in saying, yay, I live in Idaho. Well, congrats, Monique. It's a great place to be. Now, a question from Jill. What about your newspaper collection? Is it possible to see a list of titles or locations that are covered in the newspaper collection?
Well, not really, but there is a workaround. And if you give me 1 second, and I know that a lot of people have asked for this, and we are actually working on it, but it will take a little bit of time. So I'm going to go back to the newspaper search that I did before, okay? And again, on the left panel, you will be able to see the different newspapers where you find your records, your information.
Okay.
And remember that I mentioned the refine the search by names. Well, when you're talking about newspapers, the refine by title, it's applied, and you can see here the different titles that we have searched and found records. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have a title where we didn't find information for you. So this is right now the workaround that we have in order for you to be able to see the titles we have.
Yeah, so first do your search and then scroll down and look at the refine your search section there. All right. And Jill, who asked the question, wrote in very excitedly. She said, yep, that will work. And thank you. Now, what about, so I've got some in the UK and some in Canada that are wondering, what are there newspapers for their countries? And how would we know that? By doing a search and then just looking here in the list on the left?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Or, well, if you go to the specific country and you do a search, and then in the category you will see newspapers.
Gotcha. Yeah. Good.
And I can tell you, yes, we have UK, we have Canada, we have Australia, we have many newspapers from many countries.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you so much. Let's go to Sarah, who asks, is it possible to have a data subscription without a website subscription? Or Daniel, is there a way to know what different subscriptions are available?
Yes. So basically what Sarah is asking, or her question is the answer. The data subscription is only records. You don't need to have a website. You don't need to have a tree. Although with your subscription to MyHeritage, you get a free account with space for 250 individuals in a family tree if you would like to upload them or build them right there. But again, the data will give you only records. If you would like to also have a tree, you will need either to buy a premium subscription, which is separate, or what I also mentioned before, what we call the complete account, that will give you for a reduced price both the data and the premium.
Okay. So the complete, that's the trees and the records, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, now let's do a question to help clarify this for Linda. She says, please clarify which collections are free for viewing and which require a paid subscription. And is searching always free, but viewing records depends on the specific collection?
Exactly like that, Linda. Yes, searching is free. Whenever a collection is free, you will see an icon that says free. One example that I can give you from the top of my head is the Billion Graves collection. That is a free collection. You will need to register with MyHeritage. You will need an account in order to open and see the record, but with no credit card or with no payment at all. It's only your name, your email, basic details, a password, and then you have your free account and you can access the free collections without any problem. And again, if you go to the collection catalog, you would be able to see over there which collections are free and which ones are for paid.
Okay. Good. Which makes me think, Daniel, here I'll bring it up on my screen. If I go research and then collection catalog, that's what you were just right now talking about. And,
exactly.
Okay.
Now, probably there you will not see the free sign because
because I'm logged in.
Employees, exactly. We're logged in as ourselves.
Yeah.
And we cannot show that to the public. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're not logged in, then that makes sense. It would show the free versus the subscription. Okay. And for those that were asking about Mexico, there you go. Here's a one with 122 million records. Okay, Ruth has a question. She says the name on a tree from an extended relative in Germany is in Cyrillic. She says that she was invited to see her tree. She's wondering, how do I learn what that name is in English? Is that possible?
What I would suggest is simply copy paste that name and put it into Google Translate.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Google Translate is my best friend in these cases because, yeah, even if the person is actually building the tree in another language, she will be able to see and to navigate the website in English or in any of the 42 languages that we support. But we don't translate the data from the tree. So whatever the person typed, that is what she's going to see. So copy paste into Google Translate and will be more than easy to know what says over there.
Okay. And then one of the other questions here on my list was about how to find out what languages are available. Is that available here somewhere that explains that?
Yes, if you click on the upper right part where it says English.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go.
There you will see the list of the 42 languages that we support.
All right, very interesting. And then volunteer to help us add it if your language is missing. All right.
Well, not only that, but most of the translation is done by volunteers.
Huh.
So if you spot some mistakes or if you see something that it's not translated to a specific language, we would love to hear about it. We would love to get, volunteers. And we have opened new languages thanks to people saying, hey, I want the website to be usable for my family back in the old country, and it helped us translate it.
Huh. Okay. So speaking of this, Shar is wondering, does MyHeritage have a Hebrew translator that would help with headstones? So if she sees something on a headstone, would she go over to Google Translate to figure that out, or what would you
Well, Google Translate is going to be a little bit difficult. I have two suggestions. The first one is the Translate app on a mobile phone. If you point to the tombstone, sometimes you may be lucky and you may get the translation of the image, of whatever letters are on the image. I have used that when I travel to Europe, and it's really handy.
Is that Google Translate app?
Yes, exactly. The other suggestion will be to try to contact the local Jewish Genealogical Society. And I know that there are about 70 around the United States, or even going to a synagogue. There is also another website called jewishgen.org. I'm going to write it now on the chat so you can all have it right there. And they will be able to help you with the transliteration.
Very good. Well, thanks, Daniel. By the way, you're doing great. I'm throwing these questions at you as fast as I possibly can, and you're doing great.
I'm doing it with more than pleasure, so keep them coming.
Oh, well, they are. They're still coming. Now, you talked about the a very interesting technology, which I think was called Search Connect, if I remember right. Linda's wondering. Yeah, sometimes, yeah. All right. Linda says, so when you see who did the search and you want to contact that person, will that message be sent by email, or is there a messaging function within MyHeritage?
So MyHeritage has an email function that keeps communication inside the MyHeritage system, but MyHeritage will generate an email that will go to the email address of that person saying that received a message in MyHeritage, and will encourage the person to click on the link and to come and see the message. Okay. The idea is it's privacy. MyHeritage takes privacy very seriously. We're not giving away email addresses of any of our users. So that's the way of doing it.
Yeah, that's why she asked the question. She said she's concerned about privacy, and so sounds like it's
and so do we.
Good. Okay, good. Let's go to Leslie's question, and this was asked a couple of other times too. She says, is there a place that you can save a record to when you're not sure if you want to attach it to your family tree yet?
No.
Kind of like a holding place? Not
yeah, no, we don't have that feature, although it may be interesting, kind of a star the results of the record. What I would suggest is probably creating another individual, like a standby individual, and saving the record for that person. Okay. Or simply take the URL and keep it on a log file. And whenever you are you're certain of the record, just go to that URL again, and you should be able to find the record.
Yeah, that's a good workaround. I like that.
It sounds like an interesting feature. I'm going to move it on to the PMs.
I like that. Yeah, I know a couple of other sites have a holding area like that. Can't remember their exact names, but sounds like from the comments coming in here, it would be a popular new enhancement. So thanks everyone for sharing that. Let's go to Salih's question, who says, if someone has a free MyHeritage account, can I invite them to view my tree if I had this person has a paid subscription?
Yes, definitely. The invite capability is not related to payment at all. You can have a website with 200 individuals in your family tree, and you can invite all your thousands of relatives to come, to collaborate, to enjoy, and to share what you are doing on your website without even paying a dime.
Okay. And is there anything that they're able to do, or is it just a view-only capability for them at that point?
No, well, you will need to go, and yes, this is definitely a good point and a suggestion. Take a couple of minutes before you start inviting your people to go into the settings of the website and the privacy of the website. Make sure if you want them to collaborate and to be able to download the tree or to add information, or you want them only to view and not to touch. And then you can even go one step further, and you can say that only administrators can touch your tree. And under the site people, I'm sorry, 1 second, the site members, you can say, or you can upgrade one or as many members as you want to administrators. So you will have a group of people that can collaborate with you and change the information, and you will have a group of people that will only be able to see what you are doing.
And then Brian is wondering, where do we go for that? Is that in the tree settings?
Home, go to home.
Okay.
And site members.
Okay.
Okay, and right there on the right hand, keep going, you have a lot of requests. Under the more, you have the option to promote to site manager.
Okay.
Right there.
Am I
and
sure?
That will
okay.
make him or her able to change information on your family tree.
Okay. All right, I made my mom the site manager the other day. I don't know if she does have a little king sign next to her name now, so maybe that means she's real important. My dad's birthday's coming up. I really like these balloons that you show up everywhere. That's a helpful reminder. Ruby, it's a queen crown. Sorry about that, Ruby. Okay. Lots more questions. Jill is wondering about the search algorithm, and she says, for example, if I search by including a death date, am I only going to get death type records? Is there a way to limit records beyond a certain date without specifying a death date in that death field?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a death event. You can just put a date, and we will concentrate on that date, or again, you can use plus minus a certain amount of years, but that will only help in order to get better results. It doesn't mean we're not going to present you with results that may not match the year or the place that you are suggesting, because sometimes you think that you know the date or the place or other relatives' names, and you find out that you don't know at the end of the day, and we don't want you to miss anything. So all that extra pieces of information are going to be helpful to sort the results according to the relevance, but at the end we will give you all what we found, and you will be able to judge and to say if this is relevant or not for you.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thanks. Let's go to Alan's question, he's asking about that case of the Posenberg versus the Rosenberg with the P, I think, instead of the R. Alan's wondering, when there is an obvious error in the actual record, is the official transcription ever corrected, or does it forever remain Posenberg, and you always have the two variations there?
Well, we really don't want to go in fights or verifications or all the extra work that will generate. We prefer to keep always whatever was typed at the beginning and just adding the suggestion. as long as you have a suggestion with the right spelling, you will be able to find the record, and you will be able to see that that the record was misspelled and corrected.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So they'll always both be there.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of sense of starting to correct mistakes, like actually deleting the mistakes and put the right word up there.
Okay. And Coralie is wondering, she says, just to be clear, to be a collaborator on her tree, do the other family members need to have a MyHeritage membership also?
Again, no. Everybody can collaborate. Everybody can work on MyHeritage for free as long as the tree will not go over 250 individuals, and as long as you are not interested in premium features. For example, and I think you mentioned one of the webinars coming up about the matches, the smart matches and the record matches. Those are premium features. You will get them, but you will not be able to accept, reject, or communicate with another user or another administrator of another tree if you don't have a premium subscription.
Okay.
But yes, you can open your website for free, you can invite family members for free, and you can all work in a small, medium family tree for free with no problem.
And if one person, like the owner of the site, has like a complete membership, and they invite others to collaborate, do they need to have their own memberships?
No, everybody enjoy the premium features for that website.
Okay.
If one person pays for that website automatically becomes premium.
All right. Oh, good. That helped to clarify that for Barbara, who just wrote in about that. Thank you. What about Terry's question? She's asking about the newspapers. She says, if there are photographs in the newspaper as well as the names, are those indexed as well?
Well, newspapers are not indexed. Those are OCR. So
yes.
as long as the computers could read the names below the picture, sometimes I have found, when you have pictures of a commercial place, so sometimes the OCR has detected the words in the image for a sign or for a shop.
Yeah.
And then it becomes searchable. It becomes indexed. But it's not a manual indexing. So you can find those images of those people in the newspapers with the OCR.
Okay. Yeah, that exactly answered the question. Thank you. Now, Leslie's wondering, when you're looking at the image of a record, like a census record, is there a way to navigate to the next or previous page? I'm guessing there's just an arrow to go to the right or an arrow to go to the left. Is that available?
Yes, exactly like that. But you know what? Give me 3 seconds. I'm going to actually show how that works.
Okay.
Very fast while you give me the screen.
Yep, here you go.
Yes. I know. We're here already. So I just search for my last name. And I'm going to just open any page because I'm not looking for any particular record. And you see up here on top of the image, you see the name, the pages.
Yeah.
So you actually have, in this case, a drop-down menu, and you can just skip and go to page 42, for example. Okay.
Yep.
Or I can just go one by one and turn the pages and see. And this is the same both for either census or for books, for yearbooks, all type of records that will be multi-pages. you will be able to go back and forth like this.
Okay. And then stay there, because Jim has a question about saving that document to his hard drive. Is that possible from this point?
Yes, you have actually two options. Once you click on full screen, okay, and this is something I didn't show as part of my presentation, so thank you very much for the question. Like, you have here the transcription, and it tells you which line it is, so you can zoom in here and actually look for that line and find that person. Okay, and I can simply hide the transcription and see more of the image. Right here, I can download this document without any problem, or I can even print it or save it as a PDF with no problem. The other way of saving exit full screen will be, but not saving like the information, not the image, will be with the save record to an existing person on the bottom of the record as I'm showing now. So you have all the options. You can do whatever you want.
Yep.
We give you all the options.
Good. All right, thanks. Hey, Wolf is wondering, we're talking about the messaging now. He's saying if you sent a message, is there a way to find out if that message was ever received or viewed on the receiving end?
No. Unfortunately, no, and I totally understand, Wolf, because the concern that happens to everybody, like you send emails, yep, you send messages, and yep, nobody answers you. But unfortunately, it's like dialing on the phone. Like, yeah, you don't know if the person heard the ring and didn't want to pick it up.
That's, yeah, caller ID, that changed the world, didn't it?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to Sonia's question, who's asking about the citations, and I can see it right where the answer is, right here on your screen. Can you show us about the citation? Looks like it's down there in the lower left-hand corner. What happens when you click Cite this record?
Yes, for sure. Well, you will be presented with the information of the record. So it will be very easy for you to copy all this to your clipboard and then paste it as part of the record of a source citation. Now, when you save the record to your tree, the citation is going to be pasted automatically. Okay. So you don't need to deal with this if you are saving the record to your tree. If you want to keep a research log and you're doing it differently and you want to have this citation, definitely, yes, you can, in every record, you can click over there and have the source citation right there.
All right. Oh, good. She writes in saying thanks with 4 exclamation marks, so she's happy about that. And Susan, she's putting in another recommendation for that delivery receipt option. She would like to know if someone got the message. Barbara writes in saying, wow, I love that way of citing the source. Okay, let's go to Anne, who asks, if I'm no longer a member, will I still be able to see the originals that I downloaded while I was a member?
Well, yeah, if you download it to your computer, those are yours, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You can forever see them. We're not coming knocking on your door and deleting your files on the computer.
Well, thank you. Okay, let's go to Linda's question. So what about the other way? So we've talked about how to download a record. Is there a way to add a record to her tree that MyHeritage doesn't have? So she got she's got a scanned image of an original record she got in an archive somewhere. Can she add that to that person in her tree?
Yes, the way of doing it will be to upload the image into the photos section, which is under the family tree. Right here, my photos.
Okay.
And then she can create a fact if she's annotating the event happening on that document, and link the document or the image to that fact and to that person.
Okay. Good, thanks. Coralie is wondering if your membership does expire, does her tree get deleted, or is it kept somewhere private for when she comes back?
Very good question. We don't delete any tree. What's happening actually is your tree gets frozen. So you will still be able to see it, you and all your site members as well. You will not be able to edit it. You will not be able to change or delete information from the tree.
Okay.
But it's your tree, and unless you tell us so, and you actually confirm that you want your site to be deleted, we don't delete any trees.
All right. And then, thank you. And speaking of the trees, Bernhard is wondering, is it possible to adjust how the surname is displayed? I think for a while it was always the married name was being displayed, and I think recently, now by default, it's the maiden name being displayed. Do you know, can you tell us where to adjust that setting?
Sure. Give me just 1 second. I am creating the page to show you.
Okay.
And I'm taking my grandmother's family as an example. So here you can see how, well, this will not be a good example. Let me go to this one. So Chaim Zinger, in this case, my great-grandfather, is married with Fanny or Feige. Singer in parentheses, this is the married name, and Breyer will be her maiden name. So when I go into the option wheels right here in the corner, one of the three preferences, 1 second, right here below it says name preferences. Okay, and I'm going to click, and here is where you choose how you want to see the names. If you want to see married and then born maiden, or maiden married, or only married, only maiden, you choose how you want to see the names.
That's perfect. That's exactly what they were wondering. Thanks. Now, almost out of time here. Let's go to Joan's question. She's wondering if she receives some kind of a message that her membership is about ready to renew, or is there a way for me to go and find out when my membership is up?
Sure. You will receive a message, but you can also go under your name. Here in the tree, you have My Purchases. Okay, so I'm going to click there, and I'm going to enter, and you're going to see that I have both a premium subscription and a site subscription, and I'm actually managing some websites, and some of them are already expired or active. And when I click View Details, you can see that this one, for example, is up till June 16, 2021. So have nothing to concerned about that one. The same as well for the data plan. Okay, you can see that my data plan goes actually to 2022, so I'm covered.
Yes, you are. Oh, good.
And by the way, if your site will be expired, for example, like this one, you will be able to go in and to just renew this right from here as well.
Oh, okay. So you'd probably click on the link, and then there's something there that tells you what to do. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, Daniel. We've used up all of our time today, but lots of questions answered. You've done very well. Very, exciting to see about some of the ways to take better advantage of the records that you have there. Is there anything else? Any final thoughts you want to share with us before we say goodbye?
Well, no, just thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jeff, for having me here again. I hope you all enjoy the records that we're bringing you through MyHeritage, and hopefully we will meet face-to-face in a genealogy conference or any lecture around the world.
Absolutely. Well, Daniel, it's always fun to see you in person, but it's fun to have you online as well. We'll take that whenever we can, and we'll take you wherever and whenever you are around the world. We'll take you anytime as well. Thanks, everyone, for being with us, and remember, life is short. Do genealogy first. Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Daniel.